Cheers, big ears. And you know what? You can't say cheers without, it's bad luck, right? Without taking a sip. So cheers to you. Okay, I gotta tell you, I'm a little nervous. And not because I'm like afraid to be in front of the camera. I'm obviously not afraid to be in front of the camera, but I'm a little nervous about what I have to announce in front of the camera. Um, and you know what? You're gonna get to the end of it and be like, well, I don't get it. And that's because it's a personal thing. It's about you, but it really ain't about you. Um, there is a breeze blowing in my world and through the Black Dollar Fair playground called Time for Legacy. Legacy. That's how the breeze sounds. And it's time. It's time. Not that we haven't been building our legacy, because we have, but it is time for us to build the legacy in a way that I always knew we were supposed to. But I got to tell you, I'm afraid to do it. Afraid because I know it's going to be our finest hour. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it crazy how you can be afraid of your finest hour? Think about that. Like, we want what we want and we want it so badly, and then when it's there, it's like, whoa, wait a minute now, back up, back up. So that's how I've been. And so, but it's a crazy thing about change. You can run from it, but you can't hide. I was in our dollhouses outside of our headquarters meetup, which, for all of you that don't know the lingo, blackdollarfair.com is what we call our headquarters dollhouse. And if you're in Atlanta, you probably don't know that we have dollhouses on meetup in Florida and New York and South Carolina and Washington, D.C. and Houston. Um, so I was going through the dollhouses. We got a lot of houses. Going through the dollhouses a couple weeks ago, and just got really, really, really disturbed by the fact that so many well-intended dolls, and you know who you are, have gotten behind me trying to move the movement in different cities, with pretty philanthropic affairs, you know. Um, and when I looked at the time, there was a pretty important online affair, philanthropic affair, you know. We somehow know how to communicate on Facebook with people from all over the country, but forget on Meetup that you can do the same thing. And so outside of HQ, our online affairs are usually crickets. You know, you hear the cricket song. Um, and I heard the cricket song, except for the best man. Best man had a lot of RSVPs, more RSVPs than I had seen in a very long time. And so I took to the internet and snatched them off the calendar and created this Black Dollar Fair called The Future of the Black Dollar Fair. And you read that I said I did not create the Black Dollar Fair so that we could go to the movies. And I meant that. That's not to say that we're never going to go to the movies. Obviously, black dolls have more fun. And I stand from day one in the same shoes that I have today. And that is the belief that a family that plays together stays together. So I understand the importance of meeting up to go to the movies. I understand the importance that, you know, yes, you're going to the movies, but quite possibly you're going to be sitting across the table from another doll who you can share, you know, that job promotion or that idiot that broke your heart. I get that. And that's why we have bonded so well as a family. But I didn't create the Black Dollar Fair so that we could go to the movies. All right? And that is what this is all about. Hunter Thompson has a great quote that I've always loved and I want to share with you tonight, that is the spirit of what I'm trying to say to you tonight. He said, "Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid and broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming in your casket, "Wow, what a ride!" I love that because that's what I want. That's what I want. And as I said on the Black Doll Affair page, here lies a black doll. She went to the movies. No, 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 no. Now, we're gonna have a great time at the movies. I don't want to discount the movies. But more importantly, I want the Black Doll Affair to begin tapping into our reasons for being here. No, I won't say begin, because that rather discounts what we've already done, and that I don't want to do. So let me start with thank you. Thank you very much for all that you have done to date. If you are that black doll that has a doll closet full of Black Friday clothes, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Black Friday clothes, thank you. If you're a black doll that has your same t-shirt from 2007, thank you. If you're a community doll that joined and you haven't bought a t-shirt and you haven't participated, thank you. If you're a hero, thank you. If you're a baby doll, thank you. If you helped us to get our own day in Georgia, thank you. If you helped us to get into the White House, thank you. If you helped us to sit at Congressman John Lewis's desk, I thank you. If you helped Mattel to go from Black Doll Affair to Mattel's on speed dial, thank you. And so on, and so on, and so on. Thank you. No matter what I say tonight, please remember that I am in utter gratitude for everything anybody has ever done for me, for us, for our family. And nothing that I say tonight is intended to discount that. And it is all because I believe that it is going to be better in the long run. There's a breeze blowing on the Black Doll Affair playground, and it's called legacy. And we have done a great job of creating our legacy, of Be a Doll, Give a Doll, of Pretty Philanthropic, of Black Dolls Have More Fun. And now it's time for us to take it to the next level. Lauren's trying to be quiet. We're baking cookies. What's a founder's announcement without chocolate chip cookies? Nothing. Ain't nothing. So, Lauren, you don't have to be quiet. Bake them cookies, girl.
I'm just trying not to burn down the house.
Yeah, don't burn down the house. Where was I? Where was I? Literally, where was I?
Legacy.
Legacy. So, the things that we have done, obviously, have been rooted in love and therefore rooted in our legacy. But it's time for me to address my fear. It's time for me to do what I always knew the Black Dolls could and would do. But I've been putting it off because I'm afraid. Isn't it crazy how we're afraid to do the very things we dream about? We want it so much, and then when it arrives, we're like, whoa, I need for you to step up about 10 feet. I need you to give me a moment. I need you to give me 10 moments. I need another 10 days. It took me some time to really decide that this is what we needed to do, but I know it's what we need to do. And so I'm afraid. I'm very afraid, but I know that with you and my family, I can do this. I'm afraid and I'm anxious. And I'm afraid and I'm anxious. But I'm excited. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Okay, so as I said, I did not create the Black Doll Affair for us to go to the movies. I didn't. And so that doesn't mean that we're not supposed to go to the movies. We are supposed to go to the movies. and we are supposed to continue to bond. But it's not supposed to be, herein lies a black doll. She went to the movies. That's not what our casket is going to read when we slide in sideways, going, whoop, what a ride. It is going to be, I got to do things that I wouldn't have been able to do because I was a black doll. I got to be a black doll. That's the stuff that I want to start doing. All right. So we're making some changes in order to make that happen. I'm coming to you tonight to talk about change, to talk about further changing the world for black women and girls. This new campaign, I don't have a phrase for, but if I had to come up with a name for it, I would call it the thumbprint campaign of legacy. The thumbprint campaign of legacy. Put your thumbprint, stamp it, seal the deal. A black doll was here. We are really going to start putting together black doll affairs that take your breath away. Black doll affairs that leave behind a thumbprint. We've already started to put some of those on the calendar. The biggest thing, if you don't know already, that's on the calendar is the Habitat for Humanity dollhouse build. That is going to be us teaming with Habitat for Hue. I've renamed it Hue, H-U-E, Manity. Oh. You gotta love live. Got all choked up. You people choked me up. But we're gonna get with Habitat for Humanity and build dollhouses for little girls, and not just any dollhouse for little girls. And this is, I'm going to campaign a little bit because I want as many people on board this dollhouse build as possible. We're only asking for $25 minimum per doll, and the donations are going to go towards our Habitat for Humanity and the build of our dollhouse. And we are going to build dollhouses for little girls that not only gives them a place to dream and to play, but we are talking about a dollhouse that has beautiful frames of, let's say, Harriet Tubman. Of Harriet Tubman. Beautiful frames of Rosa Parks. Beautiful frames of a black doll. Beautiful frame of Oprah Winfrey. Just taking dolls from her legacy and putting frames around her dollhouse. Oprah always says that your home should rise up to greet you. I agree. But I feel like a dollhouse should rise up to teach you. And so while they're playing there, I really want those little girls to feel as though every brick, every stone, every piece of clay or whatever we used to build the house was solely made in her honor and her likeness and her reason for being. You know, Barbie has her playhouse, and I would suspect that if I'm a little porcelain pal, that probably feels a little bit like me. So I really want to be able to build dollhouses that a little girl walks away having played in and having been empowered by. Where it teaches them a lesson of who they are, and wherever she turns there is a message of beauty in a very unique way, a mirror to remind her of her beauty, and just a dollhouse that is all about who she is, who she can become, and who she came from. How cool is that? Legacy building. Long after the founding dolls, that would be you and I, are gone, imagine these dollhouses all over Atlanta, all over Florida, all over Washington, D.C., all over Houston, all over New York, that have our thumbprint on them. That kind of like the King Center, if you will, or Memorial, has that legacy that says, this is what it's all about. This is what you're all about, and this is what you can be. Dream a little dream. So, we are looking to go into a territory that is broader in legacy, deeper in root, and more soulful. And that means we're going to look into ways that we can find important stories like the Tiana Parker story for everybody that contributed to that. And for those that did not, Google Tiana Parker. But she's the little black girl out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, my home state, that got kicked out of school because of her natural hair. Seriously? Yeah, yeah. Her natural hair, the way her hair grows out of her head, was deemed inappropriate and she got kicked out of school. But fortunately, because we have voices, that rule was changed. But we were able to come together, find that little girl on the internet, come together, send her some love, and remind her of her beauty, because that's what we do. That's how we roll. We're going to continue to do that. And we have created an International Hall of Fame where we will discover stories such as Tiana's, that we will come together as a family to build her up and say thank you for doing exactly what we do, reminding black girls of their beauty. Um, Legacy building. I don't know. I'm optimistic, but I don't know that meetup.com is going to grow with us in the way that we need for it to. A lot of the times we are on the same page with Meetup, and too often lately, not so much. And so, I don't knock people's visions. And Meetup obviously has a vision. As an organizer, I'm often scratching my head about what that is. As an organizer, I'm often sending emails about how, having been on Meetup for so long, I've got some great ideas about, adding to their idea of legacy. But, it's their idea of legacy. I'm not sure if Meetup's going to be the domain that we grow with that takes us into the future. That stands to be seen. But there are some challenges that we are facing and addressing right now with Meetup that, challenges. So, don't know. While we're speaking with Meetup, let's just do some housekeeping and cleaning while I'm on the note. Meetup has made one change that obviously I disagree with in consideration of my card being debited every month for the payment that I make to Meetup. But you now have the option of not receiving organizers' announcements. And they say that automatically that box is checked, that you automatically get it. But if it is your intention to move into the future, change the world for black girls, help us build a legacy, you want to go right into your profile, go into Meetup, click on the right-hand side, upper right-hand side, My Profile, email and settings, and just make sure that everything that you want to receive from us is checked. But more importantly, do you want to receive organizers' special announcements? Like these, you want to make sure that that's yes. Now, I do understand that, there's a lot of email. I get that. When I'm not sending emails, then Lauren's sending emails. And when Lauren's not sending emails, then Meetup's sending reminder emails. And when Meetup's not sending reminder emails, then there's emails coming in through the feed. And when that's not happening, then somebody's uploading photos and that's coming through. There's a lot. So, but if you go to My Profile, you can edit your profiles to receive one email a day from Meetup that has everything. You can say, send me the announcements as they come. There's ways to cut down on your email. I'm not going to be the one to tell you, that, what is it I'm trying to say? I'm not going to be the one to help you not receive our announcements. I'm just not. Obviously, I'm the one that's making the announcements, and I'm the one that's paying to be able to reach the people to make the announcements. So I'm not going to be the one to tell you to uncheck all of that stuff, because I just disagree with that. In my opinion, if you're not interested in what I have to say, you're probably just not that into me, because I do know that the dolls that are on board that truly want to help and hear and witness and be a part of the magic, the movement called the Black Doll Affair, they are interested. And sure, they'll miss an email here or there, but they have taken the time to go in, set those profile settings so that it makes sense for them. I'm going to partner with you on things that make sense. On things that are nonsense, like, oh, I'm going to uncheck so that I don't ever hear from Mama Doll, then get out my house. See, I mean, I say that with much love, but total sincerity. If you don't want to hear what I have to say, you're probably parked in the wrong parking spot. Just saying. But I do understand the that's a lot of email. So go in, change your settings that make sense for you. All right. There is a way to manage that, and I am here to help you manage within the Black Doll Affair. But I'm not here to help you. Not here from the Black Doll Affair. Just not. So there's little things like that and big things that I won't bore you with. That's just organizer stuff that we just don't know the future of the Black Doll Affair on Meetup. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I am a huge fan of Meetup. Hello, 6 years later, Meetups all over the country that I pay for. But there's some changes that just are that I don't necessarily agree with, and I can't see their vision. And so, FYI. All right. Dolls, we're getting back to basics. We are getting back to basics. What does that mean? We're always getting back to basics. Well, we should always be getting back to basics. Always, if you want to find your way to your dream, you've got to remember the Alamo. And so let's talk about the Alamo. Be a doll, give a doll. What does that mean? Be a doll, getting your t-shirt, no membership fee, just a Black Doll tee. Give a doll, every time we do something, every time going to a movie, or going to a massage, or going to a Books for Africa, or a whatever, going to a Black Doll Affair. Give a doll. You don't have to email saying, hey, do we need to wear a t-shirt? Or do I need to bring a doll? Yes. Yes. You don't need to wear a t-shirt if it's not scheduled in the Black Doll Affair. And you don't need to bring a doll if it's not scheduled in the Black Doll Affair. But if it is a Black Doll Affair schedule, be a doll, give a doll. All right? Be a doll, give a doll. It's what we did from day one. It is what I set out to do. My initial vision, my initial reason for being, before we were even pretty philanthropic, was be a black doll. Walk into that room, head high, shoulders back, proud of who you are, ready to remind a black girl of her beauty, be on point, and leave that little girl with a doll. But while you're there with her, talk to her about her hair, her culture, her nose, her lips, her likeness portrayed on how it's portrayed on television. Be a part of that little girl's world and kind of get into her psyche and find out how you can remind her of her beauty. That is how the Black Dolls roll with little girls. Because we had requests of programs and other things that go into the world of reminding little girls of their beauty, kind of like a Black Girls Rock program. We start doing tween summits and things like that. We're not going to be so focused, you guys, on tween summits moving into the future. And why are we not going to be focused on tween summits? Because it's not in our lane. If called upon, we will do tween summits. But any ambassador will tell you that's ever helped at a corporate level will tell you it is so much work, so time consuming to try to get in on programs to do tween summits, which is why you don't see a lot of them. People like YWMCA, Black Girls Rock, Boys and Girls Club, they already have these programs in place. And so they have to bring us in. And we've had some success with the Girl Scouts and all those programs that I just mentioned. But at the end of the day, it's hard getting in on their programs. And so we spend a lot of time trying to do something and be something that we're not. We love those programs. Obviously, Black Girls Rock does a great job at those programs. Obviously, the Girl Scouts does a great job. The Boys and Girls Club, great job. YWCA, great job, etc., etc. They're doing a great job doing what they do. We're going to do a great job doing what we do. The Black Dolls will remind little girls of their beauty through playing with dolls and donating them when we leave. Be a doll, give a doll. If you're one of those dolls that are saying, well, I don't show up for much anymore because I just feel like we need to be more in front of a little girl. Well, there you have it. It is what it is. I am going to say, you know, go out there and do it. Make that happen. Be the LaQuisha Hall who has created Queendom, and where she literally, is very active to the degree of honorary status within the Black Doll Affair, doing what she does, but she wanted more. And so she has this program that she created where she gets in front of these little girls, and so she's got the best of both worlds. What I'm saying is, don't depend on the Black Doll Affair to be who we're not. All right? We're not going to spend a lot of time on that anymore. If a little girl wants a program that is, course 1, course 2, course 3, and it ends in a camp and da 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 da, then there are programs out there for it. If a little girl wants to be in front of a beautiful living doll that talks to her about the skin that she's in and then leaves her with that message of beauty, welcome to the Black Doll Affair. All right? That is what we're going to focus on. Pretty philanthropic. Not going to stop doing what we do and rolling and helping Hugh. We're just going to step up the game. We are going to move into the world of internet and social networking and find those people out there that need us, like the Tiana Parkers. We are going to find stories of people online that we can help. We are going to ask that you bring us stories of people in the neighborhood that we can help. People, charity, causes that need us. We are going to continue to be known for being pretty philanthropic. That's not going to stop, ain't going to stop, ain't going to ever stop, because that is the type of stuff that we want on our tombstone. Who did you help today? Okay? So look forward to more of that. Black dolls have more fun. Didn't create the Black Doll Affair so that we can go to the movies, but I fully understand that going to the movies is how we bond as a unit, as a people, as an us, as a family. And so we will continue to schedule fun Black Doll Affairs. That's not going away. Again, that was said because it's not working outside of HQ. And so Meetup has done a hell of a job of putting together meetups where you can go Zumba and sew and skydive and brunch and lunch and dinner, dine. There's so much you can do. I think there's something like 123,000 meetups happening at any given moment. I could be wrong, but I think that that's pretty accurate. So I don't worry that when I make the announcement right now that we're not going to be doing that anymore outside of HQ. I don't worry that I'm leaving your social calendar with the cricket song, because there's so much for you to do. And if you can't get Zumba outside of HQ through the Black Doll Affair, I know that you'll find it. All right, because there's some very worthy projects out there and worthy meetups out there for not only black girls but multicultural, for stuff for you to do. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about outside of HQ. New rule, outside of HQ. We will no longer have everyday meetups that do nothing to contribute to our legacy and are labor intensive in terms of trying to get dolls to come out. And we're not going to post play dates that, don't add to legacy, because we want more from you and for you. We want bigger and greater things. So I've given it a lot of thought in terms of how that needs to happen. And that is going to happen in a way that HQ is going to be home base, because obviously that's what headquarters is, but it's going to be home base for those everyday meetups. And why is it that they get it and you don't? Because, they get it, and and you don't. And I mean that in sort of the spirit of, guys, I don't want to sugarcoat it. Or dolls, guys and dolls, because we have a big audience, don't we? But I don't want to sugarcoat it. I want to be totally real with you. At the end of the day, I always hear everything happens in Atlanta. It's kind of like the Brady Bunch movie. Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. It's kind of because when we schedule stuff, Atlanta dolls show up. They do. They do, to the degree that we are Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. We are the big sisters of the movement. And so, unfortunately, and there are plenty of ambassadors to back this up, we're just not getting the turnout. And we've spent a lot of good time, and we can't do that anymore. What we have seen is that when I come to town, you show up. And so I thank you for that. And so I think that means that you have a lot of everyday meetups to choose from, and the ones that we're putting on the calendar in your city are just another meetup that you can choose from. And so it's not that special. But when I come into town, again, thank you very much, the numbers go up and people come out in attendance. So we're looking at that going, okay, well, maybe we need to have you come into town more often, Mama Doll. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. But here's how we're going to do it. Because I can't afford, we're still very much a grassroots movement. I can't afford to come to town for $17. I can't, because if there's $17 RSVP'd in the world of meetup, that means 10 are going to show. I can't come into town for $10. And that doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means that we don't have the budget to love you like that. If we had the budget to love you like that, then I would have the same mentality that I had here in HQ when it was just $2 or $3 showing up. That you just got to do the work. You got to wait for nothing to become something. But unfortunately, we don't have the budget to do that. So the solution is to stop scheduling labor-intensive play dates that people aren't showing up for, or even philanthropic affairs, we're not getting the turnout that we need. But putting together conventions that are pit stops into your city that not only ensures that you're having that Black Doll affair, but dolls from all over the country are coming in with me. I'm coming, they're coming, you're coming, we're all showing up for a Black Doll affair. It's a family affair. And we're going to put it on the calendar to the degree that it becomes annual events. Annual events. All right? What does that mean? That means, specifically, Florida, no longer will you have hey, look at Atlanta doing the Macy's thing. Let's do the same thing on Thursday, because, again, you're not showing up. But we are working on signature events in Florida that are annual, that grow, that are fun. We're going to call it Florida Fun in the Sun Playground, that are unique and annual and people look forward to, kind of like the Founders Weekend here in Atlanta. We're going to have a signature event in Florida that Florida dolls are known for hosting, and the family comes in for it. What? We'll call them family reunions. How about that? How about that? So we'll have family reunions in your cities, but they'll be annual, and each playground will become known for something. Florida will be the Fun in the Sun playground. So that means that we will create yachting events, beach events, just really fun in the sun events. That'll be literally our playground of the Black Doll Affair. For New York, we will treat New York's playground officially as our cultural playground. It is where we will go to enrich our social calendars with culture. We'll taste the best Chinese food in Chinatown. We'll go catch that Broadway play that give me a black actor's name, Cicely Tyson, is appearing in, quite possibly one of the last plays she'll appear in, or Broadway plays, right? I mean, listen, I love Cicely. People used to say I look like her in school, and I think I do now. Anyway, I digress. But New York will become our cultural playground. It is where we will go to enrich our culture. It's why people go to New York, right? Right, right. So we will have Meet Me in Manhattan meetups. Well, we will go there to enrich our culture, have more fun, enrich our culture. It might be for philanthropy, it might be for a Broadway play, but we will now treat our New York playground as our cultural playground. Washington, D.C. You kind of have the best well, you have the best of a lot of worlds because you're so close to New York, but you also have Virginia and Maryland as a part of your playground. And we love the fact that years ago your playground was coined the Doll Central. Get it? DC, Doll Central. And so we'll continue with that. And so DC, the District of Columbia, will be Doll Central because this is where New York dolls can come in, this is where Virginia dolls can come in, this is where Maryland dolls can come in. But that will be our Doll Central, and we will have Doll Central affairs, and we will work with dolls in that area to create convention type affairs that we can go to. Now, we're not going to put a lot of conventions on every calendar. We're going to start with a convention in each city and build from it. Once we feel like we've got that signature affair in DC and that signature affair in Florida, then, we'll create another signature affair. New York will be a little different because it's New York. There's so much to do in New York, you know. So we will visit New York probably a lot more often, just because it's New York and you can take fun shopping play dates there for the day. Houston, big Texas, my hometown, my second hometown. Everything big happens in Texas. Everything in Texas is big. So we will create big affairs, big old beautiful affairs in our Texas dollhouse. All right, that will include Dallas and Houston. All right. I got to tell you, Texas, since we're making this announcement, the Lamique Beauty event is in big jeopardy. Just because we're not getting the numbers to make sense for the movement to go there. So at this point, it's not looking good that that's going to be an affair that happens. So we would have liked for that to have been one to take place, but at the end of the day, with 17 RSVP'd, it's not growing. We're looking at a 10-person turnout, possibly. So if we have to take that off the calendar, just know that we're going to be working on a big old Texas event. All right. Okay, so that's what's going to happen with our playgrounds. Oh, I can't leave. Ironically, I left out South Carolina. South Carolina dolls. I'm. It's very rare that I'm at a loss for words, but I have to tell you, y'all done put Mom at a loss for words. When we kicked off in South Carolina, one of the things that I like to say is the best prediction of future behavior is past behavior. When we kicked off in South Carolina, I found myself sitting across a kickoff table, launch party, with nothing but Atlanta dolls. And DC, because Lauren had moved to DC. But whatever, Lauren, you're always going to be Atlanta. You're Atlanta first. But, I literally was at the dinner table going, okay, you know what? What is terribly wrong with this photo? Where we literally could have stayed in Atlanta to do what we were doing in South Carolina. And that was having dinner with Atlanta dolls. And so you can imagine for me why it's frustrating to get emails going, Mama Doll, how come we don't, and it's like, we do schedule it, but y'all don't show up for anything, including your kickoff. Because even at kickoff, there was only Atlanta dolls. That wasn't right. And yet, I remained optimistic. And I kept sending Nicole, our honorary doll, in to get the job done, who finally fell short of, I think New York, y'all know what that means. I don't have to say the words. She extremely frustrated because she was driving a couple hours to get to the dolls, only to sit at a table where she had 15 RSVPs and one no-show, and one two-show. I'm sorry. And so, I'm like, keep hope alive, keep hope alive, keep hope alive. But at the end of the day, you totally see Lauren in the background. Okay, that was funny. At the end of the day, there's only so long you can keep hope alive before somebody says, I'm sorry, ma'am, that person's not responsive, and you're going to have to walk away. It's sad when you're trying to keep hope alive, giving it life, giving it the breath that everybody says they want, the same stuff that's happening in Atlanta, and yet they're not responsive. So we tried, and there are dolls in South Carolina that are listening to this going, she right. I was on the phone with her. I showed up, and didn't nobody show. And like we've done that. So I'm saying all that to say this. If kickoff wasn't good, then liftoff was worse. We never really got off the ground. We really didn't. And so we're changing the zip code on our South Carolina playground to include North Carolina. We have to. And it doesn't mean we don't love you. There are going to be some awesome online affairs that I'm going to talk about that you can be a part of. But at the end of the day, we got to do it, dolls. We are looking at meetup statistics that are showing Atlanta, DC type response to meetups in the Black Women's League, if you will. And so we got to see what else is out there. It's not that we're leaving you behind. We gave it our best shot, but we gotta do something different. And so that just means that we're changing the zip code to reflect North Carolina, which means that meetup will no longer have legs in the South Carolina meetup community, and it will start to reflect dolls in North Carolina. It will show in that zip code, that area, all right? And we will, just have Black Doll Affairs where we go head on out to North Carolina, all right? Don't mean I don't love you. It's a tough, hard decision. Listen, before you start judging me, before you get mad at me, keep in mind that nobody wants this thing to work in its totality more than me. Obviously, I've got more invested than you do. All right, so before you get a little angry, just know that I'm a little bit more invested than you are. And so this had to be a tough decision for me. All right, it's a tough one. But I think in the long run, if we can grow North Carolina and it pours into South Carolina, then awesome. And the great thing that we've noticed about North Carolina is because the activity on Meetup is not that strong in South Carolina, that there's a lot of South Carolina dolls that are part of the North Carolina Meetup. So it's really going to be the best of both worlds. All right. What's going away? What else is going away, I should say? Baby doll programs. Baby doll programs. We talked about that. Going away. Guys and dolls. We had a great kickoff guys and doll affair at Social Vinings. That was awesome. It was like a special event though. And we really haven't been able to, because it's not our lane. It's not our lane. We really haven't been able to muster up guys to come on board the Black Doll Affair, obviously. But it was a very cool event for dolls to be able to bring out their husbands and meet the dolls that obviously you probably talk about in your home at Pillow Talk. What? No? You don't take the dolls to bed? No pillow. Okay, well. Oh, I do. I talk about y'all all the time, but that's okay. That's just me. I'm mama. But it's great to be able to say, hey, baby, this is so-and-so Black Doll that I always talked about. It's great for us to be able to meet the husbands, the partners, the boyfriends, the significant others that support the Black Doll in her affairs. That was very cool. So we're not getting rid of it. We're going to make it an annual big convention. party here in Atlanta, a Guys and Doll event. And you know what? It could be a big old Guys and Doll event in Florida. But it is going to be an annual more so than a ongoing. All right. Doll delivery. So what does this change mean for doll deliveries? Okay, so obviously, if you're not meeting up all the time, they're not going to be collecting those dolls outside of HQ. So when we have those conventions, we will obviously ask you to be a doll, give a doll. And that means that you will, if it is before July, then we will allow that playground to keep those dolls so that we can schedule a Christmas in July. Because frankly, as we have seen with Karen, as we have seen with Carol, as we have seen through LaQuisha Hall, there are, as we have seen through Kendra, there are ways, it only takes one person to haul a big old bag of dolls down to the right group of people for doll delivery. All right, so we want to make sure that if there is a convention that takes place in a particular playground before July, then you will be able to keep those dolls for Christmas in July. If we have a convention in your playground that happens after July, then we will pay to have those dolls shipped to Christmas for our HQ doll deliveries. I think that's fair, right? That's a good thing. I like that. I really do. I hope you do too. I really like that. I think that's a great idea. Okay, so there's this trend happening called the internet. You look at Facebook and people are communicating all over the world with people from all over the world, and nobody ever says, hey, meet me for lunch. Unless, of course, you're obviously friends and you're in the same neighborhood. But on Facebook, you can be friends with people from Zimbabwe and talk to them as if literally they're outside your door. And you're connecting and you're socializing. And so we really want to make sure that we're continuing, and this truly is what my fear has been all about, is that really want to make sure that we are changing the world in very special ways. And the way that we're going to be able to do that is through social networking, through uniquely social networking our movement. So if we're changing the meetup world and people aren't meeting up to meet the doll next door in their playgrounds outside of Atlanta, then how are they meeting the dolls in their playground? Well, I've come up with a great idea called Who's That Doll? We are going to be conducting casting calls for Who's That Doll. Lauren, what day is the schedule?
November 1st starts.
November 1st, we're going to open up the Black Doll Affair for Who's That Doll casting call.
2 weeks only.
2 weeks only. 2 weeks only casting, because we're going to do it by season. It's going to be the Black Doll Affair TV show. Who's That Doll? And so it's going to be an internet TV show. And it is going to be me interviewing Hugh so that I know all the dolls that come on board, because I get to greet them. I get to see them as they come in. But you don't know who's that doll. And as we always like to say, every doll has a story. Think of this as life class, Oprah's life class meets the Arsenio Hall show back in the day. I know. I know, but it's true. Because what was great about it, Arsenio? Entertaining, right? Funny, entertaining, right? Okay, well, whatever. And then there's Oprah's life class that teaches you a lesson, helps you to learn from somebody else's story and how they've mastered their life. So we are going to, and then combine that with Black Dolls having more fun, and this is going to be magic. But it is intended to put our stories out there on the internet to share our stories, because every doll has a story. And you can look at me and size me up, but not until I tell you my story do you really know who I am. So we are going to be coming into your dollhouse, whether you're in South Carolina, or whether you're in New York, or whether you're in Atlanta. We're going to be knocking on your door to ask you for an interview so that we could do Who's That Doll. That's going to be one way we connect and move into our legacies to change the world for Black girls. The other way is that we're going to start creating conscientious commercials. Now, I don't want to go too in detailed with this, but I can tell you that this is going to be one of the coolest things that we get to do, and that is creating commercials that change the way black girls are perceived and perceive themselves and change the world for black girls. Because I was talking to the dolls at a recent play date, and I was like, there's this movie or commercial, I think it's a Kia commercial, where you have all these beautiful Italian women sort of running through the street, and it's really not even about them, but it's really about the Kia car commercial. But in a silent way, it is glamorizing Italian women. And I'm like, you rarely get to see that with black women. And then I thought, I want to be able to do that. I want to be more conscientious in a commercial that shows us off. And then there's a commercial. There's a commercial, a Guinness commercial, that really gets to the heart of what I'm going to be doing with you guys. Google the Guinness commercial. We'll just put in Guinness wheelchair basketball commercial. It will come up. But this is going to be the heart of what we get to do. And basically, this particular Guinness commercial, apparently there is a friend within a circle of guy friends that obviously has found himself recently from an accident in a wheelchair. And so obviously, as the story goes, they obviously all got together to play basketball, but this one person has had an accident, and so all the guys get together and decide, let's get together and learn basketball, wheelchair basketball. And you don't really know what's happening until the story plays itself out at the end. And it's very touching, and it's very short, and it's very unique, and it's very much like the stuff that we're going to get to create, which I can't wait. Um, Black doll billboards. Billboards! Oprah always says that every woman needs a fan. Like there's nothing like being on a photo shoot set and the wind's blowing through your hair, and you just look so sexy and gorgeous and all that. I agree with that because I've had a fan and I know what it's like. But I have to say that I think every woman needs her own billboard. Well, maybe not her own, because we're not going to be able to get, not yet. But I believe that every woman should have the chance to see herself on a billboard. And so I am going to be talking to Hugh about getting you on a billboard, giving you that opportunity that when you slide into your casket and when you say, whoo, what a ride, you have the experience of what it feels like to see yourself on a billboard. How are we going to do that? Same way we've always rolled. We're going to come together. We've got advertisers that we've got in line that's given us some great prices on billboards. We're going to come to you and say, hey, we got this billboard on 75 and the Houston Freeway, or we've got this billboard coming right off of 95 in Miami, or coming right out of the airport in Atlanta, so on and so on, or Times Square. Still have those connections when I did my billboard in Times Square. Where they will give us a set rate, kind of like Habitat for Humanity has given us a set rate to build a dollhouse. And then I will post it and say, hey, who wants to help me change the world for a black girl and get on a billboard? And we're going to create really cool advertising campaigns that have your likeness in them, your likeness. And you will be able to drive down the street and see yourself being pretty philanthropic with a pretty philanthropic message that gets people to talking, and it's got your likeness on it. Oh, that's going to be so cool, and I can't wait. That's going to be so cool, and I can't wait. We're going to make a play together. That's right. We're going to do a play. Now, when is that play going to happen? After all that stuff, because that's going to take some time. But the future of the Black Doll Affair is to come together and really put together life-changing scripts, if you will. And I already have the script, and I already know what we're supposed to be doing. But first, we're going to do all that stuff that I mentioned, and then we're going to do a casting call for the Black Doll Affair play. Oh, that's going to be awesome. Finally, well, not finally, a couple more things. Nearing the end, we're going to do a doll mall. You guys have been so good to the Black Doll Affair in terms of Black Friday that it has been an integral part of keeping our movement moving. Um, that I wanted to figure out a way to give back to you. So we're creating the Doll Mall. And what is the Doll Mall? It is your stuff in our store. Love that. There's so many creative talent creative and talented black dolls out there that have their own clothing line or their own cupcake line or their own, there's so much. And so I'm always getting emails for stuff, and there's people that write books, and we're going to do a doll mall. Of course it's going to have standard, and it's going to have quality, and you're going to have to be able to have minimums in terms of having items on hand. And if you wrote a book, it's got to be edited properly. We're not going to lower the standards. um, but we are going to invest in the doll mall, and there will be a link that will be included in the Black Doll Affair for the doll mall. Love that. That's my way of saying thank you for being so good to us on Black Friday, that we want to include you on Black Friday too in the doll mall. All right, so look forward to that coming soon. We will continue to do pit stops, meaning we will go to places outside of our playgrounds. I really want to get the Black Dolls to Toronto. I really do. I really want to get Black Dolls to, what's the water fountain in New York? Oh, Niagara. I really want y'all to sip from that water fountain in New York. I've never done it. So we're going to continue to do bucket stuff, bucket list type things that we can skid into our cask and go, woo, what a ride. But yeah, there's some things that I want to do. And we were doing a lot of pit stops before, and I hear you, Marquita. I hear you, Tunisia. I hear you, Lisa. It's time. Yes, we'll start traveling again. I hear you, Lauren Nowlands. We're going to start doing that again. All right. Let's see. Said that. Okay, closing. I'm going to keep this under 60 minutes if it kills me. Look forward to what Lauren wants to call the Jingle Mingle. I don't really want to call it the Jingle Mingle because I've been on the internet and it's overused, and as a marketer, we hate overused terms. But look forward to an upcoming Black Doll Affair called the Jingle Mingle. And that is mandatory playground policies if you are going to be a part of HQ deliveries. Last year was huge. Our deliveries, doll deliveries at Christmas, are huge, and people come out, and that's awesome. But no matter how much I ask people to read to the bottom in terms of what they should show up wearing, the gum they shouldn't show up chewing, um, as good of a job as we did last year, as much fun as we had, there was some kinks in the system that we want to, and you know what, let me be the first to say, I should have had my makeup ready. Nobody ever said that, but that was a very important day. Stuff gets out of hand, and I just sat back thinking, I need to do this personally to do a better job next year, and the dolls need to do that personally. I'm always going to take responsibility. You call me out and I'm wrong, I'll be the first to say my bad. But the Jingle Mingles are going to be about us coming together. If you're going to be a part of that affair, making sure that you go to those Jingle Mingle playground policies. We'll put enough of them on the calendar so that when you do show up, if we don't let you in, it's because you went to a Jingle Mingle and you knew what was required of you. And so, sorry. We don't want to be able to do that because we want to obviously make sure that our affairs are huge. But that literally is our finest hour. And dolls, we just don't want to look back at pictures where people are dressed inappropriately or behaving inappropriately. We want to make sure that if a doll joined the night before, that if she's showing up at our biggest day, that there's something in place, All right. Okay, 59 minutes, 9 seconds. For those dolls behaving badly, we got a new no-show policy. First time, friendly reminder. Second time, warning. Third time, probation, 3 months. No reservation, probation. Meaning we will put in your profile where it says Black Doll, BGCOF, background check on file. You have to You got to go on probation and can't RSVP for 60 days. 60 days? 60 days, I think 60 days. I have a really big last announcement with 48 seconds to go. What should I do with that, Lauren? How should I handle that? You know what? I'm not going to announce it here. Black Dolls, I'm going to announce it, but I'm not going to announce it here. Thank you. Bye.